What is more deep state than covering up for pedophiles? Why would you go to that island? Why? Tell me, why would you go to that island?
Watching the MAGA house built of popsicle sticks crash before our eyes brings me some kind of positive energy. I got a headline from The Independent here, and then I've got a clip that was kind of reveled over and analyzed on MSNBC over the weekend. MAGA world is absolutely imploding right now, and it's all predicated on this controversy around the Jeffrey Epstein client list and Donald Trump covering it up and MAGA world kind of figuring it out, but not quite getting there. But the cracks in the dam and the destruction of the popsicle house sick house that I mentioned is absolutely happening. Steve Bannon was confronted on stage by loyal MAGA patriot about Donald Trump being in the deep state. Not mincing words at all. Here's the headline from The Independent. Steve Bannon confronted over Jeffrey Epstein at MAGA event, quote, Trump has become the deep state. Yeah, we're getting lied to. The pedophiles aren't getting rounded up, one attendee at the Turning Point USA event complained on Friday. Some of them are getting there. Now, I'm going to play this clip, and then Heath Mayo is the guy's name who does a little analysis here. And I'm not saying he's wrong about what he says, but I'm going to take what he says absolutely to the next step. And there's a lot to talk about here. Watch this clip and a little bit of analysis from MSNBC.
Do you believe that DOJ and FBI right now, with the guys who we're all close to, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, do you think they have any credibility left to pursue this?
No, and I'll tell you exactly why, Steve, because in 2016, we trusted the plan with Trump. But now Trump has become the deep state. The exact thing we voted him in.
Why do you say he's become the deep state?
What is more deep state than covering up for pedophiles? Why would you go to that island? Why? Tell me, why would you go to that island? Why would you go on the plane?
I mean, he has become the deep state. This is, they caught the car, folks are mad.
The car is burning.
And the other element of this, and you hear it there in Steve Bannon's remarks, is the only reason that some of these folks are in these positions, crazy-eyed Kash Patel at the head of the FBI, four-shirt Steve Bannon. I mean, these guys they should not be in these roles. Right. Dan Bongino, the only reason that they are there is because they were the lead spokespeople for this nonsense on their podcasts every day, whatever crazy place that they were spouting these theories. And you see the result there. People are so bought into this. And that is really the only reason that they are there, is to deliver this bill of goods that's just not there.
Now, this guy's right. I don't know Heath Mayo. I don't know his politics, but he's right about this. The only reason Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the host of other MAGA morons who have surrounded Donald Trump, who have been handpicked and put in place by Donald Trump, the only reason they're there is loyalty to Trump, but also the fact that they've made a name for themselves promulgating wild, insane conspiracy theories about Democrats and child abuse rings and basements and pizza places here in DC that don't actually have basements. That's why they've risen to prominence in the right wing. But I'll take it a step further. The only reason many in the MAGA movement who aren't influencers, who are just normal, run-of-the-mill, unwashed horde of low-information voters, the reason they have been animated to be here in this moment is because of the conspiracy theories. There's been an entire class, if you will, of political actors in this country, people who never had any worry about politics before, who never were concerned about voting, who didn't pay attention to the news until their white supremacist demigod showed up on the scene and he became the cult leader. And their animating influence, the animating thing, the inciting incident, if you will, that brought them in was QAnon. It was the theory about the Democrats and adrenochrome and all of the insane things that they believe. That was it. That was the thing that sparked their interest. Save the children. And now that it's being shown to be a complete farce, a lie, they're starting to wake up. Some of them. The kid there that you saw. What's more deep state than covering for the pedophiles? Why would you go to the island? Why would you be friends with Jeffrey Epstein? These are all questions. And look, it's perplexing to a lot of us who actually do pay attention to the news. You, me. How do they not know? And it's because the right wing for years has built an ecosystem of news, of information that boxes out all the bad shit. And even Fox News in recent years has come under fire from Donald Trump because they'll have Democrats on. They hired Jessica Tarloff to do analysis and commentary on that goofy show, The Five. And she brings facts on a daily basis. Donald Trump can't handle it. He doesn't like it. So there are glimpses of reality shining through. And even those tiny, tiny cracks that allow a little bit of light to come in, it's too much for Donald Trump. It's too much for Republicans. And when you create this kind of an atmosphere with your voters, where lie is the truth and the truth is a lie and everything's fake news, it eventually is going to come back to bite you in your ass. Especially when Donald Trump did cavort with a serial pedophile. Was by Jeffrey Epstein's own account, Donald Trump was one of his best friends. And now they're starting to wake up, and that's the reaction. There is no deep state. This entire notion of a conspiracy within the government to run come on. Starting to wake up. And I'm, for one, am here for it. I ask about you. You can comment below and tell me what your thoughts are. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Of course, as always, you can email me the old-fashioned way, daily@dollemore.com. I would ask that you take a couple of minutes and consider supporting independent media in this time in our country. If I'm that person for you, great. If there's somebody else out there that does more for you, brings you more value, support that person. Doesn't have to be me. But of course, it would be great if it was me. Click the join button, $2 a month, become a channel member, or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. If you want to find me on social media, I'm everywhere at Dollemore. And I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another. There's been plenty of coverage about how Trump's big, beautiful bill would disembowel Medicaid. But did you catch the subtext? MAGA loyalists slid into it, providing a legal loophole that could effectively make Trump untouchable. This bill would stop federal judges from enforcing any court order against the executive branch unless you first pay a bond potentially so high most Americans wouldn't be able to pay it. So if this bill passes and Trump then violates the law, repercussions would likely be muted at the very best. This is the GOP's playbook in action. Create chaos in the headlines for people to focus on, while actual authoritarian decisions are being ushered through under the radar. We need more visibility on items such as this, especially when there is so much day-to-day chaos in the news. That's why I use Ground News. It is a remarkably helpful tool at looking at topics from multiple angles and for exposing blind spots that might otherwise slip past your everyday news consumption. Ground News is the only app and site built to pull in news from across the globe and then break down the bias and credibility of each source. You can also use Ground News' browser extension when you're reading news elsewhere to flag the bias of a source and link to other credible reports to cross-reference the information. Ground News is simply a better way to stay informed. No algorithms, no echo chambers, no blind spots. Scan this QR code or head to ground.news/Dollemore now to score 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use, which gives you unlimited access for just $5 per month. You can also click the link in the description below to save. We have another 3.5 years of this insanity, and the right is counting on you to be distracted. See all the news with Ground News.